How much experience do you have?
I have 5 years of experience in IT industry.
Okay, so all these 5 years in Java only, right?
Yes, on Java only. Since the starting, I've been working with Java and have been involved in developing enterprise applications.
Okay, so let's start with the core Java. Okay, so do you know what
Yeah.
is garbage collection?
Yes, garbage collection is like when we work on in Java at the runtime.
Hmm.
A lot of the buffer space is used.
Hmm.
On the server side. So in JVM as well. So when the server is terminated, then sometimes automatically also those buffer memories are cleared. So that is done by JVM only. But when we enforce JVM to do the garbage collection
Hmm.
to clean up that buffer memory, then we need to explicitly give that command as a garbage collector. So then when all the applications and transactions will be completed, then in the last, this
Hmm.
garbage collection will also be performed.
Okay, so do you know what is daemon thread? There is something called daemon thread in garbage collection, right?
Yeah, I heard about that. Demon that that is also related to garbage collector as well. But as of now, I'm finding how to recall that demon thread. But
Okay,
yeah, as I can recall that something is related to with that garbage collection only.
okay, no issues. So do you know what is equal and hashcode method contract?
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
Equals and hashcode method contract.
Equation hash code. I can recall this by remembering the functionality of HashMap. Actually, if I can explain
Hmm.
through that how HashMap works. So
Okay.
basically, when we insert some data into HashMap, so
Hmm.
internally it uses the memory and internal where values are inserted. And
Hmm.
when we insert the value, it's a keys hash code is used in that. Now, when we insert the
Okay.
second element into a map, then
Hmm.
it checks the hash code, and
Hmm.
using equals method, it checks whether the key is same or not. If it is the same key, then the value will be overridden. If it is not, then it will be stored into the bucket as a new entry. So
Hmm.
that is how I can relate equals and hash code.
Okay. So in this case, you are taking string as a key for a hash map, right?
Yeah, like depends. What are you storing that? Yeah, for this example, I took a string as in key value pair.
Okay. Suppose there is one object is there, and if I want to make that object as a key of a hash map, and do you know how we can do that?
Key of an hash map.
Hmm.
Okay. I think we can do it and we can store it. I'm not very the highly sure about that, but this can be done, and it's a hash code. So when so each object contains its hash code value. So
Hmm.
this hash code will be calculated there, and I think with as normal operation happens
Hmm.
in hash map, then I
Hmm.
think with that only it should store the key value pair where the key will be an object.
Okay. So which all design patterns are you using in your project?
Yeah, so design patterns I'm using, basically the combination of two three design pattern as I can understand about that. So
Hmm.
first of all, I'm using a microservices based architectural application design. So in this, we are using design pattern. First is the chain of responsibility where if multiple microservices are involved in that, then
Hmm.
let's say if there is a microservice A and microservice B and microservice C, and all these microservices are interrelated. So
Hmm.
this chain of responsibility design pattern works in such a way that if if A has done some work and
Hmm.
then it is expecting B to perform some work, then it will be passing that control to B only, then
Okay.
B, then C. So this is called chain of responsibility design pattern.
Hmm.
After that, there is another design pattern which I'm aware of, that is called circuit breaker design pattern,
Hmm.
where let's say if certain transactions are being performed on the microservices there, and let's say if the threshold, and let's say something is failing in between the transactions there, and
Hmm.
then if the certain threshold is crossed, with the failure count, then
Hmm.
circuit breaker pattern works. So in this way, the immediately transactions will be terminated there, and some
Hmm.
customized message will be thrown to the calling applications there.
Okay.
Another one is called the API API gateway based pattern there, where if you want to provide some proxy kind of proxy URL kind of stuff to the end user and consumer,
Hmm.
then this API gateway can be used for that. So in that way, in using API gateway, you can divert the flow to the different interrelated applications, and only one URL will be exposed in that. So these are the some design patterns I am aware of, which I am using in my application.
These are related to microservices, right? So are you using any design
Yes.
pattern for the Java, for the core Java? If I say like something like singleton is there, observer or builder's design pattern and thing like that, are you using?
Yes. So I am aware of the singular design, but I can recall there are multiple design patterns,
Hmm.
the which can be used for designing the very typical Java
Hmm.
uh, based on Java application. But I am based on singleton design pattern, where the in the singleton design pattern, at each layer only the object which is related, which is created only once there. So this
Hmm.
kind of pattern I'm using, singleton design pattern I'm using in my application.
Okay. Suppose you have created one singleton class and now an object is
Mhm.
created, single object is created, right? But I can break that by using the
Yes.
clonable, correct? I can clone that object and create and can create a new object, correct? So how can you stop that?
Mhm.
Because your singleton design pattern will break with the clonable interface. So how can you stop that? Do you have you ever known
I
about
haven't
this?
performed this kind of yeah, I haven't performed this kind of operation anytime. But
Hmm.
this is kind of new information to me, to be very frank. But yeah, for the singleton, as I knew that the object is created only once, and then even if you try to instantiate multiple times,
Hmm.
only same hash code value will be written for the singleton. So like
Okay.
I haven't performed this task to answer your question.
Okay, no issues. Do you know what is solid principles?
Sorry, I'm not recalling that.
No issues, no issues. Okay. Which version of Java are you using?
Currently, I'm using Java 1.8.
Okay, Java 1.8. Okay. So do you know what is default method in
Yes, default.
functional? Yeah.
Default. Yeah, yes. So default methods are something like which provides some the by default static implementation of any functionality there. So we have the concept of functional interfaces
Hmm.
in Java 8,
Hmm.
where these default methods are introduced in these functional interfaces. So if any class wants to implement those functional interface,
Hmm.
they can use this default methods here. So basically, if it's like you are imposing some the generic implementation to all the classes which will be implementing this functional interface. So this is called default method, where you are providing similar kind of implementation in each of the classes.
Okay. Okay. So do you know SQL injection?
SQL injection, I haven't performed recently because I'm working on in other databases. For when it comes to SQL, I have worked on very basic, the query implementation,
No, no, it's
where fetching the
something.
data.
Okay, it is something related to securing your application. Have you heard of OWASP?
Yeah, we I heard about it, and SQL injection I heard about it when
Hmm.
whenever there is a some query of for the application for the URL, then some data can be some malicious information can be injected into URL, and
Hmm.
that can be used to fetch the data. So I know
Correct.
about
Yeah.
the SQL injection,
Hmm.
and in that I think to prevent that, we could use prepared statements,
Okay.
where
Great.
the using prepared statements, the
Hmm.
you can just provide the parameters value for that. So in that way you're not directly the executing your query directly with the value, but through the
Hmm.
parameters. So using prepared statement, you can eliminate that SQL injection.
So how are you establishing communication between microservices?
Okay, so the very the core fundamental of establishing connection is between microservices is like you need to use REST template.
Okay.
Around that, you have many features to achieve that thing. Basically, one is the directly implementing the URL and using that URL and calling another application using REST template. Another one is another concept called service discovery and registry, using which also you can do that. But in the core, again, REST template will be used. So to answer your question, the REST template is something which is used to establish the communication among microservices.
Okay, other than REST template, do you know there is other thing also?
I think Feign client is there. I haven't used this in my project, but I'm aware that a Feign client is one dependency which is provided in Springboot, which can be used to call a different applications there. So I haven't tried that in my application since there was no requirement. But yeah, I have seen somewhere and seen some very basic implementation of that. So Feign client can also be used for that.
Have you worked on stream APIs of Java 8?
Yes, I have used some basic features, for basic methods from my Stream API, and in that some intermediate and terminal methods are present, are available to use some basic operations on the collections, basically. So yeah, I have used it.
Okay. Do you know what is the difference between stream and parallel stream in Java 8?
Though I didn't get the chance or didn't implement explicitly those things, but as I recall that yeah, if to make it a faster process, you can use parallel stream instead of single stream. Though stream is also faster compared to the the some typical implementation which we used to do in Java 7. But yeah, again to make it bit faster, parallel stream is also a bit ahead of stream implementation. So I just know that this is what the concept is, but I haven't implemented that in my project actually.
Okay, no issues. Okay, now if I make any variable as static, okay, will that particular variable will take part in serialization or not?
Static variable, okay. Let me think about it. So static variable at the class level, I think that will be because as per my understanding that will be because we are not using any transient keyword for that. And based on the definition, I think that will also be.
Okay, so you're trying to say that particular variable will take part in serialization, right?
That's what I'm saying, but I'm not very confident about this whether it will be good because I haven't tried that.
Okay, okay. Try it once, okay? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you know the internal working of HashSet?
Internal working of HashSet. I think that also works on the concept of hash coding only, and but not very surely about that exactly how will it work. But I think if we go by the name, then that might be using hash code value while storing the elements into the set.
Okay.
Not recalling that.
Internal, I mean, in HashSet, if you will go and see there internally, they will be using the HashMap only. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know how we can make the HashMap as synchronized?
Yeah. So to make HashMap as synchronized, you can. I think you can use this in a synchronized block.
How can we make that?
Or you can, you can use the concurrent hash map, which is by default synchronized when it comes to the multi-threading environment.
Okay,
but hash map, I think okay. So you can create any synchron. When I say so, let's say if you can create a method and then you can use the hash map or in that method, and on top of that method you can use synchronized keyword there. So whenever there will be an interaction with the threads, though that will be a thread safe. That's what I understand. If you want to make HashMap synchronized.
Okay. Have you ever heard of collections class?
Yeah. So for the collection interface, some collection classes also collections classes provided, in which some methods are there which can be performed over all the collection interfaces.
Okay. So inside that collections class, we have one method called synchronized map that will be used to make a hash map as synchronized map.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm done with the interview. Do you have any questions to ask?
I don't have any questions. Thank you for providing your time. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you.